Hey everybody, today we're joined by Xaris Waltman, a singer-songwriter from Gulf Breeze. She's calling in today to talk about her music and her experiences. I hope that you enjoy our conversation. Xaris, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. How are you?
Pretty good. It's a little early for me to be doing something like this, but that's all right. We'll get straight into the questions. So, I know that a lot of people know you as the local girl that was on The Voice. So, what was the process of getting onto the show?
Yeah, the process is pretty long actually. It started in January of 2017. I went to an open call audition in Nashville, Tennessee, and that's kind of where it all started. I kept making it through rounds. I think there's about 5 rounds before the actual blind auditions on TV. And two were in Nashville, and then I didn't hear much from them for a few months. So it was kind of hurry up and wait. There'd be an audition, and then you wouldn't hear much, and then they'd call you back. And the next audition was in California, so they flew me out there. Then they flew me back home, and then I think 2 months later I went back out there to do my blind audition, and I was in LA for about a month.
Wow, that seems like way more than we would think from watching the TV show.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So, what was your experience with The Voice like overall?
I'd say it was a pretty good one. I learned a lot, and I made some really good friends. All the contestants, they stay together in a hotel for that month preparing for the blind auditions. So just being around a bunch of other artists that share the same dream, it was really cool.
So, yeah, it's enough talk about The Voice because most everyone knows about all that at this point. What kind of music are you drawn to?
I'm really drawn to folk music and singer-songwriter music. Those are what really speak to me the most.
And what about those do you think is the reason why you're drawn to them so much?
I think it's pretty much the storytelling aspect. That's really what I enjoy about it.
So, kind of going off of that, who are your biggest influences, music wise?
Music wise, let's see. Bob Dylan for sure. Um, I really look up to him. I also like Gillian Welch a lot. Joni Mitchell. A lot of people from the folk revolution in the '60s. Joan Baez, Donovan.
Talking about Gillian Welch, don't you have a story concerning her?
I do, yeah. I went to a Dave Rawlings Machine concert in Birmingham, and a really cool concert. Willie Watson was there, Gillian Welch was there, Dave, of course. And after the concert, I was just hanging out in the hotel I was staying at, stayed overnight, and Gillian and Dave just like walk into the hotel. We were staying at the same hotel, so I introduced myself and we sat down and talked about music for 15, 20 minutes or so. It was just really, really cool.
That's super cool to always, meet somebody that you look up to.
Definitely.
So, when did you first start playing music?
Music has been around since I was really little. When I was small, my dad he knew a few chords on guitar and he would sing songs for us before we'd go to sleep, me and my little sister. And when I was around 8, that's when I first picked up a guitar. And from there, I just started adding more and more instruments, just messing around with them. And yeah, when I was 8, that's when it really all started.
Ah, cool. So, what's your favorite instrument?
Guitar is definitely my go-to instrument. It's what I feel most comfortable on. I think that's probably because I started on it. I enjoy guitar.
So, take us through the process of writing one of your songs.
Um,
Step by step. I mean, don't miss a single thing. These people they're taking notes. Okay.
well, let's see. Writing songs with me really is different for every song. I just finished this one song. It was called Kisses from St. Louis. I finished it about a month ago. And that song, it took me a while to write. Um, I wrote the chorus first, which normally doesn't happen, and the verses came later, and the story just kind of wrote itself. But it took a couple of weeks. it was kind of always on my mind when I wasn't writing about it, you know? And I finally finished that one, but normally it starts out as almost journal entries. Then I take excerpts from my journal entries and kind of put them to tunes.
So you write the lyrics before you write the music.
Yeah, normally it's lyrics before the music. It depends. Sometimes, normally when I write piano tunes, it's the music before the lyrics. It's all relative, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I guess it depends upon what you're writing about as well.
Definitely.
You know, I know that you wrote one song in like 15 minutes.
I just read a song. It was called Fare Thee Well World. I wrote that one. Yeah, I think it was 15 minutes. Just sat down, wrote it all.
Yeah. And that was just after we were talking about making a really depressing song or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Depressing songs are the easiest ones to write.
Yeah. Yeah. So Sufjan's been a hack, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just kidding. We love Sufjan. Tell us about recording a song in the studio. What was that like? How is it different than, say, recording it at home?
Yeah. So I used to start out when I was in like 8th grade is when I really started pursuing music, I'd say. And I had a little home studio set up, and I would just layer tracks for hours at nighttime. But it's kind of different when you're in an actual recording studio because you're trying to get it done as fast as possible so you don't have to pay a bunch of money. But at the same time, you want it to sound good. So I don't know. I feel almost a little bit of pressure when I'm in the studio just to get everything right. But I don't know. I feel comfortable there.
Well, it was because it was your money that was paying for the track to be mastered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was my money.
So how was the production aspect of it different in the studio versus when you're doing it by yourself? What's it like having to work with other people making this song?
Yeah, working with other people is kind of hard for me, honestly. I like to have control over my music, and I don't know, being in the studio and working with someone else and having their ideas kind of mash with mine was new when I was working on my song Uncle Andrew. Yeah, it was a new experience. So it was okay. It was a pretty good experience, but I just really like to have the ultimate, I don't know, control when it comes to my music.
For sure. How is performing for a music video different than performing for a live audience?
Let's see. Performing for a music video is pretty different because it's not just singing the song. There's different clips. It's stopping and starting, and it's almost acting in a way. And then performing live, you got to be pretty vulnerable because you're singing songs that mean a lot to you that you wrote. They're like your feelings, and it's in front of people. So that's a little bit scary, but it's also exciting.
Generally, where do these songs come from? Tell us a little bit about the personality of the folk singer.
I don't know. It's all just truth, I think, but also storytelling. So I don't know. I find truth in everything. When I write songs, I kind of exaggerate a little bit because it makes the story more interesting. But there's always truth in my songs.
Have you ever sung anything personal and the person that listens to it sort of gets what you're singing about, that you're maybe singing about them?
I don't know. I think that may have happened a few times. I wrote this one song about this old man. I met him a couple of years ago at the show I was playing. He was playing it also. He's from New York. In the 60s, he was a folk singer during that whole big folk revolution over there. And I wrote a song about him called Old Man, and I still haven't told him that the song is about him, but I've played it in front of him, and I feel like he kind of knows, but he hasn't said anything about it. So there are those few instances sometimes.
For young singer-songwriters, for young musicians nowadays, what's the best way for you to get your music out to the public?
Yeah, that's kind of a hard one that I've been facing lately. It's just you meet all the people you can, make the connections you can, and perform anytime you can, really.
But there are internet services like Bandcamp and iTunes and SoundCloud, yeah, where you can upload your music, but maybe tell us why it's not quite as easy as it may seem.
Yeah, there are strange steps to get your music on iTunes and Spotify and all that jazz. Um, I don't know.
But I'm looking more like, people go on to band camps and they listen to these mastered tracks by bands and songwriters and such. And I know that one of my friends, he made an album, but it cost him about $10,000 to actually make a 6-song album. It wasn't that long of an album, but it was 10,000 for studio time. So people go to Bandcamp and they listen to the songs for free or something like that, and they may think you just, record it and upload it to the internet, and it's really that easy. But maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know how to word that. Sorry, I suck at interviews, Peter.
Could you maybe word it like a song? Maybe sing it as a folk song and we'll get the answer that way.
What the heck? Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I don't even know about this question.
What question? The sing it as a folk song question or the
Sing it as a folk song, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, if you could, that would probably increase the production value of this podcast by about several
Probably
$1,000s.
so. Original folk song. Yeah.
What artists are you almost afraid to admit that you like?
Okay, let's see. I don't know if there's a specific artist, but I've thought about this. And I think it's disco music is probably my answer. I really enjoy disco music.
So can we expect to see a disco album from you in the works?
I would actually really enjoy that. I don't know, maybe someday down the road. Maybe. You never know.
As far as disco music goes, who are your influences in that genre? Who are your biggest people that you look up to?
Let's see. I really love Susie Quattro. Let's see. The Bee Gees, of course. I love Andy Gibb. I don't know. I think Andy Gibb is one of my favorites.
So we can expect to you maybe 10 years down the line, or possibly, after you've had your little folk stint, to appear on stage in sequins and a big disco ball. And
Yeah, I'd be down for that. Big hair.
yeah, big hair. Yeah, of course. Platform shoes.
Oh, of course.
So a lot of people are surprised when they see that there's a singer-songwriter from Gulf Breeze. But you and I both know that there's actually a pretty active music community here in Northwest Florida. Now, how do you fit into the music community? And are there any other bands or singers that you want to shout out?
Yeah, so in Pensacola area, there's a big punk scene and dad rock in the bars, the beach bars. And then there at UWF, there's some more classical stuff going on. So it's a bit of a wide range. There's not necessarily many folk Americana artists, but there's some bands that I'm friends with, Jimmy and the Jimbos, and my friend Zena Carpenter. There's some good music out here.
And what kind of genre would Zena and Jimmy and the Jimbos fit into?
Man, let's see. I feel like Jimmy and the Jimbos, I don't even know how to describe them. They're really fun though. Check them out. And then Z, she has some almost Doors type style, like the Doors. with some singer-songwriter influences. So
Yeah, Z is absolutely obsessed with Jim Morrison to a point where I'm actually kind of afraid she's gonna exhume his body from his grave and get a necromancer to try to bring him back to life or something.
yeah, she loves Jim Morrison.
Yeah, and Jimmy and the Jimbos kind of remind me of Belle and Sebastian a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that kind of a big sound, twee pop. Yeah, sort of twee pop sound.
And AJ's voice.
Yeah. AJ, if you're listening, I played Belle and Sebastian for Karis when we were driving up to Atlanta, and she turned to me and said, AJ sounds a lot like this guy. Obviously talking about Stuart Murdoch. So if you like Stuart Murdoch, you'll probably like Jimmy and the Jimbos.
Yeah, they're fun.
So you have a tour coming up this summer. What does it take to book all of these shows without a booking agent?
Yeah, so I found this one, it's harder than I expected, but it's good, and I feel accomplished booking the venues that I have booked, because not having a booking agent, there's a lot of phone calls involved, a bunch of emails, and it's hard, but it's good. I'm going to be in Illinois a lot, Chicago area. I'm going to be in Texas too, and I'm going to make my way through like Arkansas and Oklahoma on my way to Illinois. So it should be a fun little tour.
So when you're getting these tour dates and these locations and venues and whatnot, are you worried that maybe you'll get some outlier venue that's just like 20 hours drive away from anything else that you're playing?
Yeah, that is a fear of mine, actually. I've been dreaming about it a little bit. It's kind of hard booking dates and looking at the map, finding where I need to be, where I need to sleep, where dates would, I don't know, connect and make sense for me, actually, not to have to drive 20 hours in one day.
So are you going to approach this tour like with a tour bus, or is it going to be just your car, your guitar and equipment, and Airbnb-ing the whole way?
I think that's how it's going to be, yeah, just me and my car and my guitar. I'll hopefully be staying with some friends most of the time, but yeah.
Yeah, so the struggles of the starving artist.
Yeah, I've made up my mind. This is going to be called the Peanut Butter and Jelly Tour, because I know that's what I'll be eating this whole time.
Yeah, not ham and cheese.
Definitely not. No, not for me.
Yeah, Karis is a vegan for anyone interested.
Yeah.
So what can people expect from your performances? What's the general vibe?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty vulnerable. It's just me singing songs I've written, and then I'll come back and do some traditional folk songs. I really enjoy kind of changing those up a little bit, but it's still singing them in a somewhat traditional way.
And what are some of your favorite of the traditional folk songs?
Let's see. I really love 500 Miles. I love Samson and Delilah. Yeah, those are two of my favorites that I perform pretty often. And then I do some Bob Dylan covers. I do Don't Think Twice, It's All Right.
Which you did on The Voice.
Yeah, I did do that one on The Voice. I do It Ain't Me, Babe. I don't know. A lot of Dylan covers.
Yeah, that'll pass when you realize that Jimi Hendrix was the better musician.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, everybody thinks that he wrote all along the Watchtower.
Yeah, and he did a few other Dylan covers as well.
Yeah?
He did. Let me look it up real fast, because I was watching Monterey Pop, and he did a couple different Dylan covers. Jimmy covers Dylan. I'm looking this up right now. Jimi Hendrix Dylan covers. Here we go. Like a Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, he covered that one. He actually the cover of that is really great. I know that you're a Dylan purist, but you should check out that cover because it's really
I
great.
will.
Yeah. And my dad, when we were watching his performance at Monterey Pop, well, not, the actual performance, but the filmed performance,
Of course.
because that was back in the 60s. But my dad looked at me and goes, "Don't tell Karis this, but I like Jimi Hendrix a lot better than Bob Dylan."
Oh no. Oh no, I'll have to talk to your dad.
Yeah. I thought that was hilarious. So thank you, Karis, for joining this podcast, this pretty short podcast. Is there anything else you want to shout out?
Let's see. I'll just maybe say a couple of my dates.
Yeah, that's fine.
See if anybody. Yeah, so I'll be playing at the Opening Bell in Dallas. All these dates are in June. And then the Elbow Room in Chicago. Books on First in Dixon, Illinois. The Beanhive in Galesburg, Illinois. And Neat 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 Records in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So those are a couple of dates if you're in the area and want to stop by.
And where can people find your music online?
Yeah, so I have a website. It's karisofficial.com. And my Instagram is Xaris Music, and Xaris is spelled Xaris. So you can find some of my music, and I have a YouTube that has a live performance video and a music video on there. So.
And you have a Bandcamp with some of your music on it as well, correct?
Yeah, I also have a Bandcamp. If you just look up Xaris Music, it'll pop up. That has a couple of a little demo album on there, and my single Uncle Andrew.
And on the last interview that I had, we talked about shooting Karis's music video, Uncle Andrew. So if you're interested in how that all happened, you can check out the other interview I did with Keaton Kish. But thank you, Xaris.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
All right.